Harrogate is full of church communities doing a vast array of things and represents perhaps the biggest volunteer resource in the area. As churches, we are often pulled in many directions, and sometimes we can replicate what others are doing. But what about if there was a plan to see every household and every person in Harrogate being able to easily access the resource of the whole body of Christ? This would fulfill our vision of the Acts Church being alive in Harrogate today.
My name's Michelle Hayes. I am Kingdom Life Director at St Mark's Church, which means that I've got responsibility for the oversight of our outreach and mission. Part of my role was to do an audit of the unmet needs in Harrogate. So I've produced this report called the Minding the Gaps report. And in that we found that there are many people that are struggling in Harrogate. Even though it's got a label of being the happiest town in the UK, there are still many people who need help, and that's why we think that the Harrogate Hub could help to serve this town. If we coordinate the resources of the town, we can help to meet some of those needs that have been flagged up in the audit. So the idea is that we're going to have a central location where people can come in to access help, and then we will have a central database of all of the pastoral help that is available in Harrogate so that we can signpost people to help.
Our understanding or our belief is that the Hub has the shared vision of North Yorkshire County Council, which is to improve the lives of those people that are living within the Harrogate district, that we can work together to offer to all that opportunity of support and linking into other activities which are obviously beneficial for people's well-being.
So we're here to really serve the town, so we believe as a church that we can make a difference here. We want to add colour where there's no colour in this town. We want to make a difference to some of the neediest parts of this town. And we've come across a lot of those things while we've been here in the last 5 years. We've had those needs exposed to us, and we're starting to address those more and more alongside other churches.
I think Harrogate is one of those towns that has an image that everything is prosperous, everything is good, everything is great, but actually under the surface there are several gaps. And while the government and social services do what they can to meet those needs on a practical level, the church is there as a volunteer base, motivated by the love of God to reach out and to go to those places and to fill those gaps that often the bigger organisations find difficult to reach. And so we think there is a need. People have needs, all types of needs here in the town, like anywhere else. And so the church, based on the love of God and the practical kind of motivation to reach out in everyday ways, we can get alongside people and really help them, whether it's with food or finance or bigger issues that they need, addictive issues or whatever.
We often as churches try and do things separately and focus on our own thing. There's something about the unifying nature of the Hub that's very important for us at this time. It means that we get to work more in partnership and serve much better this amazing community that Harrogate is.
What should the church be there for? It should be part of the whole town, making it a great place to be, making people glad that the church is there because we're there to serve, whatever people's faith or belief or gender or age or what, the church is there to be salt and light in the community and make the place better, make it reflect the beautiful place it can grow into, make sure everyone is known and loved as far as we possibly can.
I think this is the most wonderful idea, something that should have been perhaps developed a few years ago, but now a wonderful opportunity for all those with many problems to be able to get together and talk and do things together.
We often talk about unity, but how can we work together? What resources do the local churches have?
It's amazing how many churches there are in Harrogate. I can't remember what the last count was. I think it's in the region of about 40. But it's so easy for us to go and be seen as sort of 40 different groups who are in competition with each one another. whereas in fact it is one church and it's the Church of Christ, and the more we can do together, the better. It's sharing resources, it's more effective use, and it's so good to be seen that we are one group working together.
Well, if you ask somebody in the street, where's the church in Harrogate, they will mention a few different buildings that they know. If you speak to the council, they want to speak to one person, not 50. So I think the need to coordinate things between us, stop reinventing the wheel and actually share resources is a really healthy and good model. And so the idea of the Harrogate Hub sounds perfect to me.
There's only a certain amount that we can do. We have one or two things that we're really concentrating on as a church, and we've tried to join other churches to be a part of that, but we also recognise there's so much more going on, and we're very keen to kind of play a part in that as a church and point people in the right direction to many different things that the church in Harrogate is doing.
Coming together as churches together in the community has incredible power. When the churches come together to look after those people for whom they serve, there's a power of the kingdom in that, and it releases something of the kingdom. And I truly believe that as we try to provide services and points of access for people as a group of churches, we can help people to find freedom.
When you open your doors, they will come in and present all sorts of needs and so on. And having the hub, which will be a building that's not a church building, it means that people will be able to come in without knowing that they're coming into a church, because that's some people like that, some people don't. So having a shop in one of the main streets in Harrogate is a brilliant idea, and I think it'll be bringing people together, getting people to pool their resources, their insights, so you can signpost people, give some immediate help, is really good, because obviously there's a limited number of churches in the middle of Harrogate and a huge need and a huge opportunity. We certainly find it here, and the idea of being able to work alongside other churches, and of course people who are not church people at all, people of goodwill who want to build up the community, is a fantastic opening. And to know it's just going to be around the corner from us is brilliant.
So I think the hub will really pool the resources of the different churches together. So that's a wonderful thing. We are often replicating the work of one another because our communication level, though it is there, has not reached its maximum potential at all. So if we pull our resources together, then we can bundle our resources, synergize together a lot more. And I think then we can offer people a much more comprehensive package of the different programs that the church does put on. So it can help people with whether it's marriage advice, whether it's financial advice, whether it's just to do with everyday skills and coping, or whether it's actually wanting to come to a church and find the right church for them. So it's having a kind of database where all of these resources are put together, then being able to signpost people according to their request, as well as helping them practically, or even perhaps meeting a bigger need in the town. If there's a disaster, as there was on Albert Street last year, that big fire, we could then have a one-stop shop where we can put resources and get a quick response out to those kind of situations.
Here is a great opportunity for us to be partners together for this town.
This may work well for those who know about the work of the church, but what about those who don't? How can we present a single, unified face in a way that is easy to access to them?
Yeah, so I often have a lot of people come to me and say, can you help me with certain things? And often I feel a little bit helpless in that. There's only so much you can do as a church, and it's wonderful to think that there will be a place you can point people to find out information, to find out what the church together is doing.
I think to actually have the confidence that it's okay to make referrals to others is good. Sometimes people say, but is it all right to go along to another church? Is it okay for a Methodist to go and sort of have a conversation with Anglicans? And of course it is, because we're all part of that one church. But to have that permission and have that joined up thinking is going to be so good, so that if one group is running, say, a marriage counsel course, that it's okay for the Methodists to go and refer them to that and say, yes, go with our blessing, without any sort of baggage attached to it. But sometimes people do feel that these days.
What we think we'll be looking for is people who will be pioneers in working together, because there will be some barriers. People are busy. But I think when a few people start to cross the threshold and be part of this, then they will very rapidly learn they can achieve more together than being apart, and that will release energy
One of the great benefits is actually knowing what else is going on in the town, and a lot of people don't know what's happening from one congregation to the other. So I think just to have that kind of audit of all the need that's on in the town and all what's available already being done by the church in its larger sense would be really beneficial, and I would lend my support to that in any way that I can. I think it would be like a one-stop shop, so people could go in, they could access resources or need can be brought to attention of the hub, and then the various churches can supply or help where there's need required. And sometimes the need's too much for one church, so cooperation and collaboration seems a lot better than competition.
Actually getting all these other churches involved in town-wide needs opens up all sorts of new doors and so on. And of course, I think also it will get on board even more closely with the voluntary bodies, with the statutory authorities and so on as well, because it'll be a contact point. That's one thing. The second thing, from the point of view of the churches themselves are concerned, is I always try to think in terms of one church, many congregations scattered around, and actually having a meeting point so you can rub shoulders with people from other congregations who are perhaps doing youth work or dealing with isolation and loneliness amongst the elderly, whatever it is. There isn't that meeting point at the moment, and I think having somewhere in the centre where lots of people are passing by with open doors will mean that we can make the most of what we've got. We can do more together than we can apart.
Such a facility would allow the church as a whole to respond to the needs of our community and to demonstrate the church's ability to transform people's lives through this unity of action. This expression of love would see Christians and others in this town increasingly brought into a coordinated effort to serve. Harrogate Hub is a town centre location where anyone can access the whole resource of the whole church. Anyone can walk in off the street and they can say, I've got this need or I've got this vision, and they can be put in touch with the whole church community on the ground across the town.
The hub's open to everybody. You don't have to have a faith or anything like that. It's open to everybody, no matter what the need. We would welcome anybody to come through the doors.
There is a recognition that within the community and within community groups and voluntary sector, there is a wealth of experience and support for people that are in the community. And part of that does come from the faith sector, the volunteers that support those local communities and recognise the need to be open to everyone that is within their communities. And that links with our ethos of supporting those around us and general neighbourliness and support for each other.
So the idea of to even walk into a church building is alien to a lot of people. So making it accessible, making it like a shop or somewhere that they can come, which people feel more comfortable to step into to present their need, sounds like a really good idea to me.
One of the reasons I went to church as a 14-year-old, although being brought up in church, one of the reasons why I went to church was I saw a bumper sticker that said, "Come to our church, come as you are." And that "come as you are" meant a lot to me. That, I think, holds the key to releasing people from a lot of their difficulties in life.
I think the first thing we're looking for is getting to know our other churches better, to see what they do offer and to learn from each other. So training could perhaps be part of that. And then to see really, okay, where are we strong, where are we weak, and where could other churches complement what we offer. So it's helping us to know what is on offer in Harrogate, and then to find our place in that, and then to say we can do this, but these others can do that, and therefore to signpost also to other churches, so that we are really pulling together in the big picture. I think our goal is to really cooperate with what already exists, which is wonderful in Harrogate. There's a lot of stuff that goes on a voluntary basis. We want to get alongside that. We want to also map out what we are doing so we can show other organisations what we are doing and where can we cooperate, where can we complement.
The hub will assist in lots of ways. Obviously, it's a focal point, it's a good point for people to go to get information on a range of services, but it's also going to provide an opportunity for people working within the hub to refer people directly to services when they identify that there is a need. We obviously are an advice provider. Our key service is delivering advice. We are a volunteer service, we're a charity, but we deliver advice, and that can be quite complex, but our volunteers are trained to do advice, and obviously we have insurance for our advice that we give. What we don't do is support people beyond that process. So we give them the advice they need, often give them some guidance as to the next steps they need to take, but we're not always able to support them in achieving that and supporting them through that process in a more pastoral way. And hopefully the hub will be able to do to take clients forward, take the advice we've given clients forward and actually get it put into practice and support clients through that process. We're delighted that this resource is going to be available.
This is not going to be competition against all these other organisations who are doing such a wonderful job. It's just enlarging upon it and trying to bring it all together so each one can help each other rather than having all these separate things, it can be one place.
That I think we're really good about the hub. It won't just be a meeting point and a catalyst for action. It will be a visible demonstration of churches working together. Now they have done that in all sorts of projects. For example, the homeless hostel, Springboard, all sorts of things have come from churches working together. But there hasn't been that visible presence on the high street.
Yeah, so this isn't a flag waving exercise. This is just us simply demonstrating the love of God for people in this town.
The vision is that we will open in a town centre location. Indeed, a property has already been identified and funds made available. The aim is to be as self-sustaining as possible. The hub, in addition to acting as a centre for those seeking help or advice, will also deliver training to volunteers and community groups. A database will be maintained with all of the resources of the church made available to equip us to respond quickly and efficiently to the needs of people in our town. The Harrogate Hub will enable volunteers to be effectively brought together from every church to meet and to network at the hub and in the community. We have set up a charity called the Harrogate Hub, and our vision statement is that every household in Harrogate would know the love of community, the love of God. Every street to be covered, every household to know and be known. Would you like to be part of this wonderful vision? The plans are in place, but broader action is needed to make this a working practicality. First, we need to share the vision across all the Harrogate church communities. Then identify and pull together the available resources from across the town into one database. To facilitate this, we intend to appoint a hub coordinator who will effectively bring together the pastoral resources of each church community.
At the moment we've got about 10 churches involved.
Please, please, please listen. Please come. Please contribute. Please do all that you can, because this is going to be such a wonderful asset to this town of Harrogate.
We have a lot of energy, a lot of people that are looking to do something meaningful, and I think a project like this will harness and channel people into something worthwhile rather than trying to reinvent the wheel.
I think people may be sceptical about this, about how is this going to actually work, because local churches are so busy focusing in on their own particular thing, or even just going to keep themselves going. I think this is a new way of working, a new way of being, but also I think it's the biblical way of doing things.
Where we really identify that a client will greatly benefit from the support that they will receive from the hub. I think we will be doing far more than just giving an address. I think we will be actively referring clients to the hub. And I think likewise, when staff at the hub identify that a client has a very deep-rooted social welfare law issue, they will be getting them straight to the CAB, and I think that is going to be a very effective partnership. I think it will hugely strengthen what is available to support people within the Harrogate district. I think they're right in all the work and research that's been done. They've identified that there is a gap in support.
The vision of Hub is a big vision, and it's a good vision, and I believe, and Nick believes, that it's a godly vision. And sometimes we want to work on our own as churches, but actually God has called us to be the church and to be good news to all the people.
I'm just really excited about the whole project. I think it's an idea whose time has come, and I just think it's wonderful that the church is finally pulling together like this to map out what we do, what we don't do, and where we can help complement what is already an offer in the town.
Please seriously consider this and pray about it, whether you think it's something that your church can be involved with or should be involved with, because we really truly believe that this is the way forward.
We're better together, we need each other, we're not called to do our own separate little thing all the time. In my experience, in the past, efforts of working together have been a bit piecemeal. If we're going to do something that's significant, we have to coordinate, we have to network, we have to believe in the future, and we have to support each other.
I want to say that this is an inspiring initiative. I'm quite excited by it. I believe it offers an opportunity for the churches together to reach out in practical action to the community of Harrogate and make a real difference. God bless you as you do so.